You are who you are and you cannot change. How many of you have heard that being spoken? Is it true? Absolutely not. That is not true. And I'm going to tell you why. We are conditioned beings. We're born, we're on a clean slate. We look around us, we observe our parents, we observe our siblings, our peers, our grannies, our grandpas, and we watch them and we learn how to be a human being. We learn how to walk, we learn how to talk, we learn how to think, we learn how to behave. So we become these conditioned beings, and probably the first 7 years or so of our lives is just downloading programs, learning how to be in order to be accepted and loved. And now as adults, we walk around and we unconsciously just do life as conditioned beings. And most people don't really know that. They think that, this is who they are, and they get frustrated with their behavior and they don't quite know what to do about it, and they sort of resign themselves to thinking, this is it, this is who I am. Or when their partner or someone that they're dealing with behaves a certain way, they shrug and say, well, it's who they are, it's never going to change. Actually, it can. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the human brain is simplified, broken up into two pieces. We have our conscious brain and we have our unconscious brain. Our conscious brain is in the region of about 5% of our brain function. And our unconscious brain is in the region of about 95% of our brain function. Who would you say wins that battle at the end of the day? Now, the conscious brain, in its 5% capacity, also believes it's the boss. So it has approximately 3 functions. It observes, collects data, analyzes the data, and then it makes a decision on that data. There's no emotions involved, no behaviors, nothing else. That is it. It's collected the data, analyzed it, and made a decision with that data based on our knowledge. And often it gets in the way. It thinks it's the boss, and it says, well, that's the data, that's how we've analyzed it, and that is what should be happening. And then we find ourselves doing the complete opposite. And that's because the real boss of the day is the unconscious brain. Everything else lives there. Your feelings, your values, your programming, everything else sits there. And its top job is to keep you safe and keep you alive. So it will do absolutely anything. It will invoke any behavior it needs to in order to keep you safe. And quite often there's this conflict that happens between the conscious and the unconscious, because the conscious brain has collected data and made a fairly sound decision, and that's how we need to be. And the unconscious brain says, oh, but all the emotions come in and the fears and all of that comes in and just overrides whatever the conscious brain has said. And that's why often when you're trying to break a habit like smoking or drinking or any of those things, you'll find that there's conflict. You might get it right for a couple of days and then suddenly it falls flat, and it's because your unconscious brain is picking up that something's not safe, or I need to get you into a safer space, and then it overrides that behavior. So it's important to know this, because any change that you are wanting to make needs to happen mostly in your unconscious brain, and there's various tools and methods and therapists and things that can help you with all of that. The important thing to remember is that there's always going to be underlying emotions that are going to drive behavior. Okay, now this is a big subject, so I'm really going to narrow it down, and just the purpose of this video is just to give you a couple of tools to start the change. Okay, and starting the change is probably the biggest step. So when we have a look at our body and our behavior, these are 2 thermometers of our life. Our body will react to a situation based on the energetic feel that it's getting, and we'll have certain behaviors that are created by the unconscious brain to deal with a certain situation or certain emotions. If we can stand back and observe ourselves Notice certain behaviors. Notice if our body is tightening up or our stomach's starting to feel unsettled or we're wanting to run, whatever it is. That is an indicator that at some level we're feeling unsafe or we might be feeling threatened. And that's where we need to pay attention, because we have two options there. We can go into our default behavior, which is our conditioned being, or we can pay attention and say, hang on a minute, what's really going on for me there? Let me sort that out so that I don't have to run from the situation, or I don't have to fight the situation, or I don't have to freeze. Okay, so very quickly, a couple of tools to help you there. So first of all, you are who you are, you cannot change. I have choice. Okay, and that choice is there all the time, even when you're stuck in an unconscious behavior. It's just that the choice that you are making is based on unconscious behavior, based on fears. Okay, so even when you feel like you're trapped and you have no choice, there's always a choice. There's always a choice to do something or not, because that in itself is a choice. So a couple of questions you can use to help you with this and to help start reprogramming the unconscious brain and just making it a little bit more malleable so that the conscious and the unconscious can begin to work together rather. When you catch yourself in behaviors that are not the greatest behaviors and you're really wanting something different, or you find yourself making decisions that you wish you had made them differently, a couple of questions you can ask. Why am I doing this? And there's many questions you can ask, but these are just a couple sort of powerful questions that will just stop you and get you to pay attention. Okay, why am I doing this? Whatever this is. Okay, it could be a behavior. It could be a type of decision making. It could be going into conflict, which is your behavior as well. Okay. The next one to ask, and this can be tough for some people because they don't like to admit that they have fear running underneath all of that stuff, is what am I scared of? Okay. What am I scared of? And this particular question is very powerful. If you're making a decision and you're just feeling a little bit unsettled about it, ask yourself, what am I scared of? Am I scared of failure? Am I scared of judgment? Am I scared I'm not going to be accepted if I make this decision? When you can start to admit that everyone has fear, then you can actually start dealing with it. You can start getting yourself out of fear into action. Next one is this my responsibility? That's a good one for in the workplace or for parents or mums that tend to overgive. Okay. Is this my responsibility? And if it's not, sorry, why is it a little bit wonky there? If it's not your responsibility, then why am I doing this? What am I scared of? So, I mean, all these questions can interlink. Is this my responsibility? Well, not really. Okay, so why am I doing this? Maybe I'm scared. What am I scared of? Being rejected? Being judged? Okay, so you can see how they all fall into each other actually. And then what am I feeling right now? In fact, what am I feeling right now could even be your first question. Okay, what am I feeling right now? And that's an important one because we grow up with such a small handful of emotional knowledge. I'm either angry or I'm scared or I'm sad. It's like the main emotional names that we give to things. But there's a host of other emotions that fit underneath that. Sometimes it shows up as anger when actually underneath it's frustration. And if you can dig down and get to the frustration part, then you're going to find your answer. Because if you ask, why am I angry? You might not get to the answer. You might get to an answer and it just doesn't feel right. Okay, Perhaps I'm angry because I'm feeling frustrated. What am I frustrated about? Okay, I'm feeling helpless. Okay. Or I'm taking on responsibility that's not mine. As soon as you know that, now you can do something about it. Okay, I hope that makes sense. There are many more questions, and I'll probably make many more videos relating to these little tools. But if you can just have a handful of these things, and I use them in my own life, you know, there's certain questions that you can ask yourself to get you back into resourceful states, to help you make decisions that are tough, to help you change behavior that just seems repetitive and out of your control. So good luck with that, and I'm always open to hearing feedback if anyone wants to give me some feedback. But yeah, pop that in your toolbox and see how it goes.